Okay, mic check 1 2 3. Mic check. Okay, mic check. Good. I hear it. We are good to go. And let's get started. So the first thing we have to do is figure out what we're doing with this CSV file. So I guess we open Excel. We're going to try to get into Excel. That would be ideal. We're going to take a look. It's going to be pretty nasty. There's got to be a way to do this. Well, I can tell that it's Washoe County. Of course, they would give him the CS. This is how they gave the Casfelt record to Beatles. So I'm just trying to figure out what we're going to do with this without having to phone a friend to convert this for me. Let's try one more time with the database. Maybe I did something wrong. I think this will work. only thing it's giving me is the... It's not giving me anything. Hmm. Oh, this is so toxic. Oh, this is toxic. Alright, we gotta figure out what to do. I mean, I'm technically importing it correctly. It's not very difficult to do. Unless, like, the text's hidden from me in some weird way. Let's try this. Maybe there's a free... Let's just see. Convert CSV to Excel file. Closes. We'll just do it with Excel. I think what we do here is... Let's just open this up. We're going to do... Data. Text from CSV. And you know what? This might actually just be the better way of doing this. So let's just bring this in and see what it looks like. Just load. And hopefully this works. Like, oh, good. Okay, well, that solved that problem. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is make a new sheet. Okay, I'm going to copy everything I see here. Just copy the whole thing. I think we go to that last file. What do these percentages mean? I'm very curious. What, they're giving people 83% of one vote? That's really interesting. Okay, now, well, we'll find out what that means in a moment, but I'd have to see, like, exactly what's going on, you know what I mean? Okay, that is really weird. It seems to suggest that they're giving somebody a fraction of a vote. No? I have to call Beatles, ask what this means. So the only numbers you should be seeing are binary. I should be seeing 1 or 0. I shouldn't be seeing 90% of one vote. You understand what I'm saying? That's definitely very interesting. I have to make a phone call to figure out what that even means. So hold on. Okay, so guys, the first thing we have to do is come up with a plan for how we're going to make this readable. Okay? So Beatles is going to ask the Washoe County Registrar of Voters tomorrow. Okay? So Beatles, what these percentages mean next. So this is what I noticed. So normally what a CVR looks like, I'm just going to go to a blank spreadsheet. You have candidate 1 and 2. Let's say these are 2 opposed candidates, Al and Sabeth. And here are your cast vote ballot numbers, okay? And then what you see is a 1 or a 0, and it's mutually exclusive because you can't vote for 2 candidates in the same race. Sometimes people don't vote for anybody. Maybe Beth gets a vote, or Alice gets 3 votes in a row, maybe 4. And then, maybe nobody votes again for either candidate, and then Beth gets 2 votes, okay? So when I look at a cast vote record, even Washoe County's cast vote records in the past, I'm just supposed to see a binary string of mutually exclusive true values for who people are voting for. I'm not supposed to see percentages next to these ballots, okay? Now, giving them the benefit of the doubt, what this could be is some sort of adjudication number. It could be that the machine is 85% certain that somebody voted for this candidate. Okay? That's one thing that it could mean. I don't think that they're apportioning 85% of a vote to somebody. I think that would be incredibly brazen. And if they did that, I don't think they would have it on the public record. So giving them the benefit of the doubt and assuming that's a relatively innocent marking, we still have to find a way to turn it into just 1s and 0s. Okay? In other words, I have to get rid of these parentheses and these percentage signs. So what we're going to have to do is create a second copy of the copy. Okay. And we're going to have to get to work. Okay. So we have to find a way to turn all of this into something that is readable for us to analyze at a precinct level. Okay? So let's do our first thing. Let's get some borders going here. Let's get everything centered. Okay? So the stuff becomes readable to our eyeballs. And what we have to do here is take this cast vote record. Anytime I see 0, 0, it registers as a 0. If I see anything that is not a 0, it registers as a 1. And if it's blank, it remains blank. Okay? Now remember that this is a primary election. This is not a general election. So I should not see Democrats and Republicans voting at the same time on any one particular ballot, which is why you don't see that. Okay, this is a primary election. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring this over. We're going to copy and paste this here. So let's put a yellow marker here. Let's go ahead, copy this all. Okay, is there anything here? Probably not. No. So that's the end of the file. Let's bring this over. We're just going to run it's going to be a rather intense formula. We're going to have to run down these columns, okay? The formula isn't intense. This is the amount of computation that the computer is going to have to do to execute it. So the formula itself is easy. So if this cell equals blank, then let's put null. Okay. Otherwise, if Alright, let's just get this down. I just want to make sure that this works, okay? Before we go crazy here. Let's just see nulls and hulls. Okay, now what we need to know is this. Is this considered a number or is this considered text? Okay. So let's try this. Hopefully this is text. Okay, I'm hoping that's text. Now we're going to write if this cell equals then 0, otherwise 1. This is what I'm hoping that this is the code that works, okay? Please, God, make my life easy today. Good. Look, good. Now what we need to do is make sure that there's no cells that have zeros in them and have markings next to them. So what we're going to do is just a brief look down these columns. If we don't see any, it means that it doesn't exist in general. Let's go ahead. So we just want to make sure every time we see a no vote on a ticket, that is always followed by 0%. Okay, because maybe there could be zeros with other percentages next to them. Let's just take a quick look. I'm not seeing any. I doubt it because that means it didn't register it as a vote. Just taking a look. Don't see any. Don't see any. See how these are all 0, 0, 0. Okay. I think this is a safe code to run. Let's go ahead and execute it down. Take this, drag it across. Yeah, I think what we're going to do is just take this, drag it to the bottom, and then we'll be done with it. Should be the idea. This is going to take the computer a moment to do. Like I said, it's a lot of cells that it has to execute. The formula itself is simple, but that's a lot of execution. Okay. Now, another thing I would like to look for real quick. This may not be the code that we run. Just give me a second. We might want to run a cleaner code. Nah, I think it's fine. We're going to leave it that way. I have my ones and zeros, okay? This is all I'm looking for, is ones and zeros. Let's go ahead, go down. We're going to delete the original. I don't need most of these things. Get rid of that. 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 Keep the precinct. We need that. Actually, we might need ballot type. Hold on. I think ballot type will help us sort by Republican or Democrat. So hold on to that column. I need precinct. I need counting group. I don't need imprinted ID. I don't need record ID. I don't need batch ID. I do need tabulator number. I do need CVR number. Okay. We don't need this sheet anymore. We can delete this. Okay. We don't need this anymore. We can delete this. Okay. Okay, now we have Washoe 2024 CVR. Alright, next order of business is we have to go ahead and make sure that we know what all this stuff is. Okay. So we're going to call this CVR primaries. Okay, now we're going to go again. We're going to make another copy of this, okay? So we're never going to delete this sheet again. This is like a fallback if we have to come back to this, okay? All right. Light version for a moment. Okay, we'll rename that in a second. So what are the three races that Beetle is asking me to look at? Let's take a look. Okay, I think it's Republican primaries. If I'm not mistaken. So I have Reno City Council Ward 5, Reno City Council Ward 1, School Board Trustee District E, School Board Trustee District D, School Board Trustee District A. So let's go find those. Okay. I'm going to open these up with us a little bit so I can see these. School board trustee. Okay, let's just go highlight those in a color real quick. If I see it as I'm going, I'll highlight them. Alright, this looks like District D. I'm going to make the text size smaller for myself real quick. Okay, I see District D. So A, D, and E. A, D, and E. A. A. D. Oh, this is another D. Okay, E. That's a lot of nulls. My problem with this is that these tend to be small elections, and these are primaries. This means it's low turnout. So the thing I'm most concerned about is not having enough data to analyze. Okay, so that's... Okay. Okay, that matches Hall, Christine Hull. Okay. A, D, E. Okay, Reno City Council Ward 1, Ward 5. Ward 1, Ward 5. Okay. Reno City Council Ward 1, Ward 5. Where the hell is that? Reno City Council Ward 1, Ward 5. 5. Ward 1. Ward. Oh god, this is gonna take forever to find this, man. Okay, I see it. At large. Okay. First two I sent you are in recount and court. Oh. Oh, whoa, there's a lot more in here. School board district trustee at large. Reno County. Oh boy, we got a lot to look at. Oh god. Send the race names. Okay. School board trustee district. GM. Okay, well, let's do these wards real quick while they're in front of me. Ward 1, Ward 5. Okay, Ward 1. There's a lot of Ward 1s in here, isn't there? Ward 1, Ward 5. Ward 1, Ward 5. Ward 1, Ward 5. Okay. District D, District A. Member State Board of Education, District 2. I gotta make sure these are the correct, hold on. Ward 3, and there's several Ward 3s and 5s here. Reno City Council. Is this... Okay, it's Reno City Council. Let's look again. School Board District at Large. Okay, that's next to these somewhere. Yeah, right here. Remember they rigged this one in 2020. But that was the general. I don't know about the primaries. District G at large. Okay. Reno City Council, Ward 1. County Commission, District 4. County Commissioner, District 4. County Commissioner, District 4. Member, State Board of Education, District 2. State Board of Education, District 2. That's probably way out here. Or it's way at the start. It's like one or the other. Okay. Bueller and Davis. I think we did School Board District D. Yes, good. Woodley Alex C. Okay. Vote for one. Kathleen Taylor. Devin Reese. Alright, so our priority is going to be School Board Trustee District G. Renia City Council Ward 1. I don't even know who won because Beatles thing isn't showing, but we'll have to count it up. Okay, anything else we're just going to delete. That saves us a lot of overhead. Okay. For now. I may choose to keep the largest possible race as a comparison. So like state senate, I might want to hold on to a state senate race for my own purposes here, since it's going to cover every precinct, okay? United States Senate. Yeah, we're going to hold on to the Senate race. Everything else, though, I'm going to delete. We can probably hold on to representative in Congress as well. Did they not have a representative in Congress Democrat election? That's kind of weird now. Maybe they didn't run anybody. Let's take a look. It's Republican. Okay, well, that's weird. Maybe I deleted it already. But let's do a comparison with a Modi, maybe. And maybe Sam Brown. Let's get rid of everything else. Oh, hold on. Marchant ran for Senate. Okay, yeah, let's hold on to the Senate race. Let's get rid of everything else, though. Let's get rid of all this. Alright, next thing we gotta do is get some labels going here. Right? Because these are too long for me to read. I'm gonna go make some more coffee, and then we're gonna put this here, just a slightly different color. These are not, like I said, Beatles didn't ask me to look at this, but I do like to have them as a standard by which I can measure the shenanigans, because these are statewide races, you know what I mean? Okay. I'll be right back. All right, I'm gonna put on Timcast. Okay. And we're just gonna plow away at this, okay? So I have to convert this into something that, again, I can actually analyze. It's still not analyzable in this form, okay? So I have to convert. Oh, the audio is on. I'm just not saying anything. I was on the phone actually. Okay, so to make a long story short, I need a way to dynamically reference this sheet. Okay, so I'm just going to put on Timcast. I'm not going to really say much about what I'm doing, but this is really just for the public record on YouTube before YouTube bans discussion about election fraud again. While we can talk about election fraud on YouTube, I think this is a good time to put it on the public record what it takes to, one, get the data, two, to format the data, and three, to analyze the data. Because what happens in these court cases is they say that we missed critical deadlines, and therefore our case is with no standing. And these deadlines are very short. They're only a day or two. Okay? And 3 days maximum. So you have 3 days to go to court, and you're waiting 6 or 7 days for the county to even produce the data for you to analyze. So they give you the data after the deadline that's to go to court about election fraud. And then, what the judge usually has to do is put some sort of extension until at least the data is available. And then once the data is available, that deadline kicks back in, and you have less than 24 hours to format the data for analysis and analyze it and look for any election fraud if there is any. And that's generally their MO, right? The way they kill you in the courtroom is through deadlines that are not fit for how elections are conducted today. Maybe back in the 1950s, the 1960s, when people voted on hand-counted ballots, you could sue immediately if there was irregularities. It's very easy to detect it. But when you have all these algorithms, whether they're benign or malicious, counting, sorting, storing all kinds of information and calculating votes, okay? Let's just say there was fraud. If there is fraud, you have to basically do rocket science and within 3 days in order to detect it. Okay, so the main barrier is just getting the data together. Like, even if you know how the elections have been rigged in the past, like I do, it still takes time to analyze it. Okay. All right, but I'm going to put on Timcast in the background, I guess, because there's like nothing else for me to do while I just sit here and format this data for the moment. So Timcast, IRL. I'm going to put that in the background. And I guess we'll start going. A lot of news came out. What was the last Timcast thing I listened to? I think it was a while ago. Oh, almost 2 weeks ago. Well, I'll listen to the most recent one.
The Venmo debit card.
Order for Simone.
Made for staying in the moment and on the move.
All right.
The big news today, according to the New York Times, Biden has told allies he will be potentially resigning. He is considering dropping out, and we're also hearing rumors, and this one's it's rumors for now. We're actually hearing Biden might resign outright from the presidency. That seems a bit more bold. However, Biden is reportedly denying everything, giving a statement saying outright, no one is pushing me out. I am not going anywhere, and I'm going to win this race. I don't know if he's going to win it, but the White House is officially denying the story. So this is the big news. The other big news is everyone's already on vacation. So I hope you guys are wherever you need to be for the 4th of July so you can have those burgers, hot dogs, and, floaties in the lake or the pool, whatever it is you guys are doing for the 4th of July. But we're going to get into all that news. Before we do, my friends, head over to MyPillow.com and use promo code TIM. Big shout out to Mike Lindell. We're big fans. All you guys, you know him. You know Mike Lindell, the MyPillow guy. They don't have the support of their big box stores anymore. Cancel culture, when he came out and defended Donald Trump and challenged the election, of course, he got nuked by everybody. So certainly been a part of cancel culture, and they want to pass their savings on to you with a $25 extravaganza. When Mike started MyPillow, it was a problem solution one product company. Well, since then, with the help of his dedicated employees, they now have hundreds of products, some you may not even know about. To get the word out, they're having a $25 extravaganza. 2-pack multi-use MyPillows, $25. MyPillow sandals, $25. 6-pack towel sets, $25. Brand new 4-pack dish towels, you guessed it, $25. And for the first time ever, actually it's like the 5th or 6th because we've done a bunch of these promo spots for MyPillow, shout out. The premium MyPillows with all new Giza fabric, any size and loft level, even king size, just $25. The offer is not going to last long, so go to MyPillow.com, use promo code TIM, or call 1-800-925-9096. And again, big shout out to Mike Lindell. He's going to be speaking with us at the RNC, our Thursday, July 18th event. If you haven't got your tickets already, go to timcast.com, click the banner, buy your tickets now. I don't know how many are left. It might be sold out, but definitely go check. If you want to hang out with us live, Mike Lindell, Luke Rutkowski, Hannah Claire Brimolo, Libby Emmons, me, we will be at the RNC. It's going to be a ton of fun. We're really excited. We won't be at the DNC because, to be honest, I've grown quite fond of living, and so we will stay far, far away from that disaster zone. And other than that, click Join Us, become a member to support our work directly, because this show is made possible mostly because of viewers like you who become members and support our efforts and our work. So if you like the things that we do, you want to see more of it, click Join Us, become a member. You'll get access to our Discord server. You'll get to join in for our members-only uncensored shows where you can call in. So you definitely want to sign up now. We're back next week. We're off tomorrow and Friday, and there is no uncensored show tonight because we actually have to run out the door. We're going to travel to see family. But we do have this show for you tonight, so you don't want to miss it. Smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with all of your friends. Joining us tonight to talk about this and everything else is Daniel Turner.
It's awesome to be here, and especially the day before 4th of July, which I love. Daniel Turner, Power of the Future, oil, gas, coal, fossil fuel issues, and also a shepherd, sheep farmer of Virginia's preeminent sheep farm, and great to be here with y'all. Thank you.
Right on.
I was just thinking, I'm glad I never called you Daniel Shepherd. He's actually a shepherd, isn't he? You have sheep, you shepherd them around. That's wild, dude.
I do.
You're like the only shepherd I know.
I think you have to start with Shepard because that way it's like Captain Daniel. It'll be Shepard Daniel.
Did you introduce yourself?
I'm Ian Crossley. If you don't know, to know me now. Hi, everyone.
Yeah, I'm glad we're all here. I'm so excited for Independence Day. It's one of my favorite holidays. I'm Hannah Claire Brimlow. I'm a writer for SCNR.com. That's Scanner News. Follow them at Timcast News on the internet. Callan's with us.
Yeah, what's up, Hannah Claire? Filling in for Serge today, and he'll be back next week. But let's get started, guys.
Have you guys changed your profile photos to American flags yet?
I'm wearing one.
I know.
As is Claire.
What about your profile picture on social media?
No, am I supposed to do that tomorrow?
MAGA month.
I don't think I'm going to do it.
On MAGA month, all the companies are supposed to change their profile pictures to American flags, remember?
I'm too counterculture.
That's what
for
we
that.
do.
So your farm has to change its profile picture.
I don't change my profile picture ever for any month, but if you want me to change it in
Oh, you can do whatever you want.
July?
You don't
It's
like America? You don't want to Interesting. I also haven't done it yet, but I'm just waiting to take
I did.
the appropriate American flag picture. So
I have a
awesome.
red, white, and blue like graphene picture. It's like graphene.
Oh, that's true.
In a die, a 20-sided
So
die.
a couple years ago, everyone's talking about Pride Month. All these
Yeah.
companies changed their profile pictures, and I was thinking, like, why aren't they changing their pictures for Independence Day, like for an American flag? None of them do that. That's insane to me. So why don't we do it? It's MAGA month. It's a Make America Great Again month. That's what we're gonna do.
But when it's in your heart, though, it's every day of the year, so you don't have to change
Well,
your profile.
That you don't have to if you don't want to, but my view actually is the reason they do the pride flag thing is intentionally to attack culture.
Yeah.
And to force all the other companies to fall in line. And so you need a counterculture to say America instead. And now we've seen a lot of these companies dump those flags from their bios and their profiles. American flags it is, but you do you. Let's jump to the news. We got this from the post-millennial breaking New York Times report. Says Biden is considering bowing out of the race. White House claims the story is false. I don't believe them. I think they have to say that because Biden's got a lot of donors who have already put up money, but I think behind the scenes they know what the plan is. The plan is an open convention. Biden might, there's rumors actually going around right now on X, Biden might resign. And these are Beltway people, I'll pull up the tweet in a second, saying he's actually planning to resign the presidency in a week. That seems a bit bold. So I don't know that I believe that would happen.
Who said that?
Tom Fitton tweeted that. We'll pull that one up next, though, but for now, we'll get through this. Biden reportedly told an ally that he may not be able to salvage his campaign if he is unable to convince the public in the coming days that he is still able to do the job. The ally stressed that Biden is still in the fight for re-election, but understands that his next few appearances will be critical. One of those interviews will take place with George Stephanopoulos of ABC News on Friday, and it's going to be an edited interview, probably.
Yeah, it's not live. They've already said.
Yep, heavily edited, and keep an eye on the clock behind Joe Biden's head because it's going to be bouncing around like crazy. You know?
Will it be between 10 and 4 in that time frame? So it will be 10 in the morning to 4 p.m.
Watch the sun
Yeah.
coming in through the window. Well, if it's going to be critical, I guarantee he's not rolling a 20. He's going to roll a 1.
The White House has said, no, everything's fine. He's running, and that they're planning to bring him out in front of people more. And I almost wonder, like, I don't think you understand what the problem is, but it's almost impossible, right? Because if he stays in the shadows and doesn't talk to anybody, then we all kind of know what's going on. And if he's in front of people, they run the risks of gaffe after gaffe after gaffe. I was listening to this interview with I think his name's Jim Zogby. He's involved with the DNC. He's been there for 30 years, and he was presenting like a path forward for a Joe Biden-less election. And one of the things he said was like, from now on out, the whole media is just going to point out every single time he stumbles, every time he breathes heavily, every time he walks weirdly. And it makes me want to be like, I know we've already been talking about it for like a year. It's almost amazing how much of a shock all of this is to a lot of Democrats.
Well, the White House damage control is late. I mean, they tried to do some saving grace right after the debate. They went to that Waffle House impromptu. Jill Biden gave that really condescending, like, you did so well, and Joe stood there on stage. But they needed to roll him out Friday. Saturday over the weekend. Instead, they hit him again. They went back to Camp David. So
they did the one rally in North Carolina, but even then, it wasn't enough.
It's way too late. It's way too late. This narrative is now set in stone, and they're not going to change the media narrative just because they want to. They're going to try their best. They're going to find something to indict Trump on. They're hoping this hurricane in the Pacific and the Atlantic hits Texas directly, and it becomes a story. They need something to change their narrative, but they are incapable right now.
They're grasping at straws. What do you think of this idea, though, that it's Biden saying, oh, I think I might need to drop out?
No way in hell.
I don't think it's Biden at all. I think Biden and also the Biden family are all you know, they are prepared to run until they absolutely cannot, and they don't think it's off the table. It's interesting because, again, going back to this interview I was listening to with Jim Zogby, he was saying, you know, well, Biden could pass the baton and he could go out with this dignified, like, ultimate. I'm hearing a couple different Democrats say this thing of, like, in service to the nation, putting aside his ambition and letting someone else, like, step in or whatever. And I just don't think that they have understood the characters involved in this. It doesn't seem
No,
Biden
no,
at all.
and if you look at electoral politics, elected officials, right and left, but particularly on the left, they don't give up power easily. Look at someone like Ted Kennedy. Look at Robert Byrd, right? Look at Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Look at Dianne Feinstein. Just a couple months ago, her staff was voting on her behalf. If you are in this position for 30, 40, 50 years, you don't give it up because it's not part of your DNA. Secondly, Joe Biden's entire personality is created on the fact that he's wanted to be president. All the lies that we make fun of him on, like, I got arrested for protesting Nelson Mandela's occupation, right? I brokered peace agreements with Golda Meir back in all these things that people are like, what the hell? How could you lie like that? This is all to create this image that I am presidential. Even at 27 years old, I was brokering peace accords with Golda Meir. That's how great I am. He has wanted to be president for forever, as most senators do. He's always wanted to be president. He finally got it. He may not be lucid. He does not know what's happening in the country, but he does know he is president, and that is all he has wanted. So there is no way in hell Joe Biden is going to step down. They can 25th Amendment out, right? The way they got rid of Nixon is they said, we're going to impeach you if you don't step aside, right? They can threaten him in that way, but he will not voluntarily step aside. It's incapable of Joe Biden because this is the only thing he has wanted his whole life. He will never step aside.
Yeah, I think his ego's too intertwined with this. And when we get reports like this, I almost think it's people on staff who are saying we've been trying to tell him that he must step aside, but, you know, it's not going well or whatever. I mean, it just does not seem like a path that Joe Biden will voluntarily pick, and I don't think he cares about, you know, what is good for the party or what's good down ticket. He only cares about, you know, getting as much time in the White House as humanly possible.
But you're mentioning, you know, Nixon. Is the deep state going to let him just sit there and occupy the space they're trying to take?
Well, as they did with Nixon, they will go to him and say, Mr. President, if you don't resign, we're going to have to do something like the 25th Amendment, right? If you don't resign, we are going to take the necessary steps that will put you in such an awkward position, so this is the best way to do it. So they may force him to resign, but voluntarily, the sense of magnanimity or love of the country that he realizes, you know, my diminished capacity is great.
That's why I do
He's not
think
capable of doing it.
That's why I do think he's going to step down. I mean, you look at what Tucker Carlson's saying. There's too many big donors. I think Reed Hastings recently was like, get out.
Yeah.
And so the people who are funding the party are saying no more. And Biden's saying, yes, I won't. I'm staying.
I don't think he cares.
Yeah.
He's president.
I kind of wonder if we're going to get that Gavin Newsom moment where he grasps his heart.
I think it's going to be Obama that runs out there and saves him. Barack. You've been.
I feel like Obama's like, well, he had a good run. We'll just
Why
see what
Barack?
happens.
Just so his wife can become president.
Well, then Michelle would do it.
Well, it'll be Barack because he's the male hero archetype everyone loves, and then he'll bring the Obama name back into the spotlight, and then Michelle will step out.
Now, what's going to happen
can't
is
run again.
Joe's going to grasp his chest and go on stage and fall over, and Michelle's going to run out, rip off her high heels, full sprint, and lift him up with one arm and carry him to safety.
And feminist crowds everywhere go wild.
No power.
I kind of agree with you guys, both of you actually. I don't think he'll step aside. I think he'll be pushed aside. And it's a little bit semantic at that point, but I think he's going to be incited to get out of the way.
Yeah.
By probably this.
You know, I got an idea. Democrats, hear me out. Maybe we accuse Joe Biden of working for Vladimir Putin. That's potentially a way to get rid of him, and then you can impeach him over what he did in Ukraine.
I mean, how about the LNG pause that has made Vladimir Putin incredibly rich, and he used all that money to start a war, to fund his army and make further incursions into Ukraine?
LNG, liquid natural gas.
Liquid natural gas, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that Biden has done that has made Putin rich and that has made Iran rich. And both of those countries, when they have a lot of money, now we're in the energy space, what do they do when they have a lot of money? They build schools for girls.
Look.
Right? No, they don't. They go to war. They
Have the
they
right-
build armies.
I just gotta say, we must protect Biden with every ounce of
Yes.
strength we have. He is sharp as he's ever been.
Mm-hmm.
He is witty. He is there, and he won the primary. Democrats, they're conspiracy theorists with those cheap fakes. I watched the debate, and I saw a man who was with it.
and he's our commander in chief.
That's true. So
Right, we
I
gotta
say-
stand by him.
I
we
say
saw-
Biden for the Democratic Party.
Amen.
Yeah, we saw a very authentic Biden at the debate, and I think we should value that as a country.
Authentic.
I'm with Corinne Jean-Pierre on this one. I mean, how dare anyone imply that he should step aside, that they
4
wouldn't
more
be in
years.
service?
Exactly.
I know there's a lot of fog of war over in the Ukraine eastern border there, but have the Russians captured any of the equipment we've sent over there? Because that's traitorous. If Biden sent artillery over there, now Putin has it. I mean, that's just another feather in his cap.
I mean, I wonder if you could track some of the equipment that left in Afghanistan that has made its way up. It is being used. I don't know. But going on what you said, Anna Claire, now we need those platitudes that politicians always use. Like, look, this isn't the time for partisan politics. We need to come together as a country. We need to stand with our commander in chief, and we do. We need to rally around Joe Biden and say, this is our president, right? He's my president too, and we need to support him to carry out his constitutional duty and run for re-election. He presented himself in dozens of primaries as the candidate for 2024. If the party that tells us that Trump is a threat to democracy cannot respect the democracy of their own constituents in those primaries, they didn't vote for Gavin Newsom. They wouldn't even let Bobby Kennedy Jr. on the ticket, right? They made him change parties. So
And they're still trying to get him off the ticket. in some
yeah.
states.
And this I think makes the most sense. One of our callers last night mentioned this. Everything lines up. Why didn't they poll Biden months ago? Because RFK would have taken the Democratic nomination, and they would have had a Bernie Sanders situation.
Yeah.
So they needed to shut down the primaries first, then do an open convention and swap out Joe Biden. Otherwise, RFK takes it.
And this was what Dean Phillips, who was running as a Democrat against Biden in the primary, this was one of his talking points, was he's gone a little too far left, a little too aggressively without the consent and the input of the American people. And he's too old for the job, and we need young blood. And Dean Phillips, so much so that he basically had to give up his congressional seat. He's not running for re-election. He's independently wealthy, so I don't think he's worried about his future. But Dean Phillips stood up and was like, this is why I'm running for president. I knew these things. Where's Dean Phillips, right? How come no one on MSNBC has had Dean Phillips on their program? How come CNN hasn't said, you know what, Dean Phillips, 6 months ago, we dismissed you as a threat to the party. You were right. We were wrong. How come none of them have to eat crow right now?
We should have him on here. This is a good time to get a Democratic senator or
I'd love to have Dean
Congressman
Phillips on because again, he announced his campaign and then stood by it. He was like, "I am running
Yeah.
as a Democrat," even when RFK shifted parties. Now, arguably, RFK has now shifted to his tone. He's saying, "Oh, I'm running to unite everybody" or whatever. But with Dean Phillips, I think you're absolutely right. Where is he? Why is nobody talking to him? And I think in part it's because no one wants to look at Dean Phillips and say, you actually had really good points and we just made fun of you until you basically had to leave, and now we've really created an issue. I mean, even when they talk about potential names, that his name doesn't get thrown around even though he was willing to say something.
Was willing to throw his hat in the ring.
And to be fair, part of it is people launch presidential campaigns to raise their profile, you know? But Kamala Harris is deeply unpopular. So yes, she is becoming this front and center name, and people are starting to say, "Oh, well, yes, I would support her." The Democratic senator from South Carolina said that, but it's not their first choice, right? If Joe Biden had said, "I'm not going to run again," and she had announced she was running, I don't actually think she would necessarily win the Democratic primary on her own.
No.
And that's not good for the voter base.
She didn't in 2019 when she was running pre-COVID, when everyone was running for the presidency, for the Democrat ticket. She didn't even win California. She dropped out before the California primary because she was going to get crushed in her own state. One last comment on Dean Phillips. And again, we would probably disagree on everything in terms of policy and politics. He is still very much a committed Democrat and probably a fairly left Democrat. But one of the things I did like about him, which I thought showed character, was he said once at a rally, I went to a Trump rally on my own and I just walked around the crowd. He's like, they're really nice people. Like, we have to stop demonizing them as this awful group. Like, they're really great. They love the country. They were diverse. They were friendly. And I thought, boy, oh boy, Dean Phillips, I disagree with you on a lot of stuff, but the fact that you were willing to say that, because look at the way Kamala will talk about the MAGA extremists who have hijacked the court. right? So I like Dean Phillips for that reason.
Let's jump to this story. We have this tweet from Tom Fitton, and this is big. And I want to preface this with, I'm going to need more confirmation than that, Tom, but Tom was willing to actually tweet this out based on what's going on in D.C. Tom, of course, is from Judicial Watch. We're big fans, president of Judicial Watch, fact-checker expert, look at that. And he says, I'm hearing Biden is going to resign next week. To be clear, I'm hearing Joe Biden is going to resign from the presidency. I can't believe it. Now, I'm not going to say outright it's going to happen. I say, that's interesting. And that tweet alone says, I'll keep my eye on things and I will be ready if this is to be the case. But considering the top-level Democrats who have come out, the obstacle of swapping out Joe Biden with Kamala Harris next in line, we've long speculated on this show the only move is for Joe Biden to be removed from the presidency in some fashion so Kamala can become temporary president or whatever you call it. And someone had a correction for me. It would not be acting president. It would be president.
Yeah.
Acting president is when the president is incapacitated. So Kamala becomes president, then says something like, I would be unable to launch a campaign. I'm going to do my duty. And this opens up the door to get Kamala out of the way, have an open convention, but it's going to have to happen before the convention. So it actually does make sense. Not that I think it's a great probability. It sounds a little bit wild, but it makes a lot of sense that Joe Biden would resign from the presidency or be removed within the next couple of weeks.
So one of the immediate things they have to do is they have to choose a vice president, and that requires now the consent of the Senate. So A, who does Kamala pick as vice president? Secondly, there are seven or eight senators who are up for re-election as Democrats who are in very close races. And now if you're John Tester in Montana and they're like, oh, I need you to vote on Michelle Obama as vice president, you think, do I want to get re-elected in Montana? Do I want so what do you do when you're in that state? If you're Tim Kaine in Virginia, if you're Bob Casey in Pennsylvania, right? Do I vote for this new vice president who is an absolute disaster that is going to get me crushed with my constituency? Or do I give up my election choices so that Kamala Harris can have her VP? That's a huge problem.
I mean, it's 4 months. They might just pick some low-level nobody.
I don't know. I mean, they could.
They could?
What I find really interesting, and I wish Tom Fitton would tell us, I think so highly of him, is why the immediacy, right? I mean, he could suddenly announce he's dropping out of the race and open the door for, whatever they're going to do at the convention to get Kamala or whoever, I've heard Josh Shapiro's name thrown around too, as the nominee. Why would he need to vacate the presidency right now? And to me, that signals that potentially this whole thing of no, he doesn't have a degenerative illness, his health isn't in decline, is actually becoming too unmanageable to cover up anymore. Because why?
Right.
What is the point? I mean, other than you're saying potentially boosting Kamala Harris as vice president, okay, maybe.
Move her out of the way.
Maybe, but then also, actually it would be more chaotic and harder for them, and Kamala's the only one who can get the money from the DNC at this point for campaigning. There are other issues at play. To me, the immediacy of he is about to leave the presidency is actually, we're going to have to admit that something is terribly wrong.
Remember the reporting around the debate where the press was upset, the White House press corps was upset they weren't allowed in the building because they were concerned a medical emergency may ensue and they wouldn't be there to cover it. And we're all like, And to be fair, I mean, you got two very old men on stage. Now, also to be fair, Trump is spry.
Yeah.
I mean, when Joe Biden sputtered out of control and then CNN tried to cover for him when he was like, we beat Medicare. And then they're like, thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President.
And then Trump's like, yeah, you beat Medicare, you beat it to death.
Beat it to death. His voice got real low when he said it, too. It was the lowest it got the whole thing.
That's not that's a mini version of that because you'd be in jail. That is the quick wit of Trump.
It wasn't. He wasn't even trying to be funny at all. That's normal.
He was with the American people being like, what did you just say?
Yeah.
But back to Biden. They dragged this out as long as they could, I think, to keep RFK out. And so perhaps now the immediacy of resigning right away is because he's held on as long as he can.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there. Remember that? You see that video where it looks like he's crying on stage? Jill Biden's talking and he's just got this scrunched face like he just can't take it anymore. I mean, this dude's ready to just lay down and put on, I don't know, the Jeffersons and just, enjoy himself.
Go for little walks in the parks in Delaware. And all of this, the great joy that all of this brings me is knowing that this is all because of their own doing, right? They chose the debate time. Trump agreed. They chose the moderator, the location, they chose the format. Trump agreed. And I remember thinking Trump made a huge mistake. I was like, I wouldn't give in to
Seats
every
so
one of
much.
Biden's demands. Absolutely, right? You pushed RFK off the primary. You changed the primary schedule. New Hampshire's been first in primaries forever. They switched it with South Carolina to help Joe Biden. Every single thing that they have done as a Democrat Party was to protect Joe Biden. And now you have the gall to come to us and be like, hey, we may have a problem. Screw you guys. Like, I am glad to see you all implode. And I think if Tom Fitton is correct, if he does resign next week, I think we need some very large impeachment hearings because the vice president must be sitting with him. How many months? What did the president know and when did you know it, Madam President? How long have you known that Joe Biden was incapacitated? And he's making decisions about Ukraine. He's making decisions about troop movements. This is months, years. The chief of staff, a lot of people have to be brought up on trial because, damn, if you can be brought up on trial for giving a speech at the Washington Monument on January 6th, then you sure as hell can be brought up on trial for covering up for an incapacitated president. Someone's calling the shots. If Biden is only president from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., that means at 4:30, someone else is making a decision. Who the hell is that person? And are they accountable to the American people? So, if Joe Biden resigns, they are going to create more problems because now I feel like they are opening up an enormous can of worms.
Yeah, man. If there's a call to the president at like 4 in the morning or 1 in the morning, who deals with that? Because I can't imagine that old guy giving a cogent response over the phone. You think like
Well,
his
Hunter's been
son or
going
his
to meetings
wife?
with him, right?
I know.
They're like, sir, we need to do this, and he's just like, all right.
Hunter's so wired up on blow. He's like, I got the call.
Whoa. Crack, not blood.
Is it his top like military advisors that are like, we're going to do this, President, and he's like, okay, and he doesn't have any
Jill.
critical thought. Jill is like, Joe, we're gonna.
I think
does
it's-
Jill take the call, and then
Yeah, Jill takes over. Jill gets all of his emails. All decisions go through Jill. Like she only tells him sometimes he's the face of the business, but she's actually running.
And
it.
when she said, Joe, you did so
I'm just
good. You answered every
hypothetically.
question.
Did you see the
knew
Babylon
every
Bee?
fact.
Did you see the Babylon Bee tweet? It had Jill sitting in front of the Resolute desk, and Joe was in the corner with like a little play school desk, and it's like the White House installs new play school toddler desk so that Joe can feel important
That's
while
what it felt
Jill is
like.
working.
When she was telling him
Jill
how good
is,
he did. It felt like talking to
It
a
was
6-year-old.
vicious.
Jill is worm tongue.
Oh yeah, whispering.
Oh,
Get
yeah.
it. Tim's got the
There's two
electrified.
of 'em.
being
man.
terrorized by a fly.
Dude, they're everywhere.
I don't know
Yeah.
where they're coming from. They're making more themselves.
Those animals, they tend to do
Yeah,
that.
but anyway, Jill is worm tongue. She's like Biden is sickly and falling in his chair. And he's like, "Arr."
We need
And then
Gandalf.
she's whispering in his ear.
Where's Gandalf? Is that Bob Kennedy? Bobby Kennedy Jr. I think
On
they
the
made
UFO.
There's no
they made
election
such a
day
mistake
vote?
kicking Kennedy out of the Democratic process, the Democratic Party's process.
Where's the election day
Nice work,
vote?
dude?
They were threatened by him, though. I mean, that's the thing.
Oh,
and
shit.
I have so much
Oh.
respect for Kennedy for coming on when we were at the Libertarian Convention and answering a lot of questions from us. I don't think I would agree with him on basically most things, but he is interesting. He has an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
He was also articulate, and he could sit for an interview like that. And there's no way Biden could do this. I mean, I wonder what kind of conversation, what prep they're giving to George Stephanopoulos right now, or last week when they taped this interview or whatever. Like, it has to be during a certain time, and also you can't talk about certain things, and also don't speak too quickly. And if he gets lost, just play it off. Like, it seems like this is obvious that Biden needs so much care and structure around him that it's not the same kind of presidency as someone who is strong and willing to go through periods of intense stress like 4 years in the presidency. Because there's no doubt that that's hard to be the president of the United States. Like you're mentioning, you might get a call at 4 a.m. You've got to go this place, but the fact that Joe Biden was like, I almost fell asleep on stage because I was traveling so much. Okay, but you've got 4 more years of this, my dude. Like, what are we gonna do?
Those are-
You can't even stay awake right now.
Those are all really great points. Can Trump be Aragorn?
And you're still stuck on this
return of
meme. Trump is Gandalf.
I'm just here to fill in the time while we
Gandalf.
think
Trump,
about
because
that.
he comes in and he ousts them from
No,
power.
thou shalt not pass, and then he sticks the scepter in the ground in the
Exactly.
wall.
Somebody carved that in the border wall.
and he died and came back as stronger than before.
He is
That's a
more
good
of a
point,
white
right?
wizard than he
Thou
used to
shalt
be.
not pass.
Exactly.
You gotta go back.
No, I mean, if you're
I just like Lord of the Rings.
if you're the Biden administration right now, like what do you do? How do you
Yeah.
save the situation? Because I think you're right. They're looking at this hurricane coming in and going like, please distract everyone.
Big hit. And also, if you are George Stephanopoulos and his team, what is that saying about your credibility that they went to you, right? You have to resuscitate the Democrat president, and we know you're going to be a team player. They didn't go to a serious interviewer. They went to the old, faithful little old George, and he will do his dutiful part and make the president look good. And they'll edit in such a way, because that's what George Stephanopoulos has always done. Obama went to him back in the day when he was losing in the debates against Mitt Romney. Right? They always go to George when they need someone to bail them out, because George is a Democrat operative. And of course he is. He was Clinton's spokesperson.
Yeah. I mean, they're
We're not
looking for favors
surprised.
at this
Yeah,
point.
exactly.
And I
Exactly.
think it's interesting, too, because we have this, the governors were meeting with Biden today, and they had this meeting, and they all came out being like, we have his back, and no problem, and he's always helped us. Like, that was Kathy Hochul. He's always helped us, so we're going to help him. And Wes Moore saying something similar. I mean, it's immediately fall back in line. But I think, again, George Stephanopoulos is probably not making deals with Biden himself. He's making deals with someone in the administration. What can I get out of this? And I think all the governors are saying, like, well, we're behind the Biden administration. I don't think they actually believe in Biden. They believe they can get something if they stay in line with the Democratic Party.
I've got this feeling that they could just run Kennedy as their candidate now.
No, he's anti-establishment.
Is that why they won't do it? Is because they're afraid he's going to rip up
the
their...
pharmaceutical interests will not allow RFK Jr. anywhere near the seat of power.
Yeah, you're
Like,
right.
when you listen to RFK Jr., and he talks about the sort of, I don't know, boilerplate politics stuff, you're kind of like, yeah, we get it. And then when he gets into environmental toxins, he's the whiz kid. He's right about all of it. He understands all of it. He's talking about plastics, polyphenols, BCAAs or whatever, just all this stuff. And we're like, we talk about all that stuff too. He knows what he's talking about. Yeah, there's big industry. They're going to be like, you will be very disruptive to the, I don't know, forced medications and things that we want to have the American people do. So that's just never going to happen. I believe this whole plan, like, I think they would have swapped out Biden back in March, because that was the rumor. But RFK Jr. was intent on running, and they were like, crap, if we do this, he runs, he wins.
I think
And
they'd
it's
rather have
always-
Trump than RFK because of the big business interests. They're like, at least Trump's down with the vaccines and or whatever.
They being the deep
Democrats.
state or Democrats? Who's they?
Yeah, it's tough to say who is they, but the people that
Yes.
are running the Democrat.
Simple answer, yes. RFK is way too anti-establishment. Trump, at the very least, is willing to cut deals and bring on people like, John Bolton. So I firmly believe a Trump presidency, he's going to hire a bunch of dumb people. Like, the idea that he won't. And a lot of people are concerned about it. That's why it's important we keep the pressure up and make sure he brings in good people. Vivek would be fantastic. And any kind of advice from Vivek is going to be absolutely fantastic. That dude knows his stuff. But Trump is probably going to hire a handful of people we're upset about. We're going to get, in my opinion, a marginally good second term from Trump. The economy will improve. Border security will improve. Immigration will improve. Trump will not be the dictator of leftist delusion that the right hopes for and the left fears. It's just not going to happen. He's going to be slightly net positive across the board. But you look at Trump's first term, and the things that we can say are good. Foreign policy was, I give it a C minus. It's like a lot, but that's really good. It's a passing grade. I've not seen any other president get anywhere near close to a passing grade. But it's like not all good. It's commando raids. There's drone strikes. There's missile strikes. They're bad things. But I thought it was a net positive. And so we're going to complain about a lot of the stuff, and we should. And we're going to like a lot of the stuff, and I think we'll get a generally slight net positive for the first time, or second time in my life, because his first term was the first time. And then Democrats are going to scream and act like it's the apocalypse when it's not.
Some of them, yeah. And then I can see like a conciliatory media move with Trump too, with like Anderson Cooper being like, we talked a lot of crap about you, like having him on the show and be like, but you did do a lot of good, and then like actually pointing. So I could see it if they,
you
if
have
they
a
get to the
good
point where they're
heart,
like, this
Ian.
is the least worst option.
This is the least worst option.
All right, guys, let's do this. I want to ask you guys a quick question.
Oh boy.
Before anyone answers, I pose this to those that are listening to comment below. Who do you think the current Democrat frontrunner is? And I'll give you 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, and it's Kamala Harris. The frontrunner for the Democratic nomination on Predict It is Kamala Harris, not Joe Biden, the sitting president. But it makes sense. Joe Biden has called her the president, I think 5 times.
He has.
He's repeatedly called her the president. And maybe it's because that's what they're planning for. But right now, the prediction markets believe Kamala Harris will be the Democratic nominee.
And they always called it the Biden-Harris administration from day one. They made a very salient point about that. It was never the Obama-Biden administration. It was never the Trump.
Yeah, exactly. Who was George Bush's VP? I don't know. It was Cheney.
I thought you were doing a bit.
no, we know
Totally forgot Trump Pence. But it was always Biden-Harris. They made a very deliberate effort to say Biden-Harris administration for that reason.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they tried to always keep her as much. It was weird. They try to keep her in the spotlight and also off to the side. She's the one out on the campaign trail, but not the campaign trail on this national abortion tour. They were sort of like, yeah, we'll make it up as we go along. Yeah, go to a clinic. We'll see what happens.
Can we start referring to Gavin Newsom as Count Chocula? Because that was one of our viewers who super chatted that, and he really does remind me of Count Chocula.
Yeah.
Or is
He
it?
needs to get a tan though.
Is it just because he reminds people of a vampire?
He is vampire-esque. He's got super big white teeth.
He's gonna get like the 23-year-old female vote over that.
Yeah.
He looked thinner and
Sexy
more
vampires.
gaunt than before at this last at the debate. Did you guys notice that at all compared to like 3 or 4 years ago?
Biden?
No, Newsom. He's kind of thin and a little more gaunt, like kind of more skeletal than he was before.
Is
Well,
he transferring his
ruining
life
a
force into
state is-
Biden to keep him going?
Ruining a state burns a lot of calories, so he's got, he's probably losing a lot of weight. I mean, I think part of this is Kamala Harris is, yes, maybe the front runner,
All
and
right,
she's the
so
name
let
that
me
has
pause
emerged.
this for a moment.
But
We are getting ready to start analyzing. Okay. Just for a moment.
But
So I now have it in a form where I can figure out what's going on. So first thing we need to do, of course, is sort this by CVR number. Otherwise, it's not very useful. Okay. I'm just going to check the last one real quick. Make sure I see a 1 and a bunch of zeros. Good. So in the future now, when I sort this, though, I have to sort the whole sheet, okay? So I'm going to do this. Oh, actually, we don't want to sort that way. Oh, no. Okay. Thank God I did a custom CVR number. Okay, so now let's just check the first couple of entries. I should see 1, 1, 1, 1. So 1 empty, 1 empty, 1, 1. One empty, 1 empty, 1, 1. Very good. Let's check the last few. It should end with 1. 5 empties, 1 empty. 1, 5 empties, 1 empty. Very good. Alright, so now that we have this ready to go, okay, we need to get this at a precinct level. But before we even do that, we want to do something that's more Colorado style. And what I'd like to see is how certain people performed, okay? So let's go to our reference table so we can see the full names. What is the most flagged race by Beetle? The first thing I want to do is just see the... Sorry, I know Beatles wants me to look at certain races, and we are going to look at them. But I want to see what happens at the statewide level. These statewide races. I want to see the senator race and the Republican race, okay? Because that gives me a good idea about what's actually fucking happening down the entire ballot. Okay? And that's because the sample size is much larger. If that makes any sense. You guys get what I'm saying? I want to look for irregularities in the statewide races first. Because the sample size is... I have a larger pool of voters to look at. I have a larger pool of voters to look at. All right. Well, anyway, I'll be right back. All right. Returning.
But it's like when you don't go grocery shopping and you have to just kind of make a meal out of what is left over. I mean, she's not the person you're racing out the door to vote for. And that's bad for the base. I also think that there is no way Kamala Harris handles the Israel-Palestine thing better than Biden. And this is another internal division in the Democratic Party where she's just not going to be able to capture the vote that they need. So I think, yes, maybe she is emerging as like the alternative, but it's not because she has earned it on her own merit. It's not because people feel inspired by her. It's because she's there when apparently everything else is falling
I was
apart.
looking for a good metaphor. I like the leftover groceries
Yeah.
metaphor. That's all you got in the house. You got to boil some carrots.
You just have to deal with it at that point.
That was my question. Is it's the Biden-Harris campaign? So everything Biden did with Israel, with the economy, how does that not reflect poorly on Kamala? You know, so
it does,
I
yeah.
mean, maybe they don't care about that. Maybe it's just anybody but Joe right now. But if you're the Gen Z Democrats right now, I don't know. Maybe they're not irrational people, but how do you rationally vote for Kamala? She was right there, a part of it all.
And the reason why Biden was brought on to the Obama administration, the Biden ticket back in 2008, was that there was a hesitancy of the party establishment that there are still a lot of old white guys who are Democrats who don't want to elect a black president. But they like Joe Biden and they know him. And so you know what? Maybe that will assuage any
Didn't they
race
already
concerns.
elect a black president?
This is
Well, no. This was to make Biden
Oh,
to make
okay. I thought you meant last
Obama
cycle.
to make Obama back in 2008 to make Obama more palatable. They're going to have the same problem with Kamala Harris. They're going to say there's a lot of old white Democrats who don't want to elect a black woman who is obsessed talking about race
and
and gender.
Michelle Obama too.
Same
So
problem.
a lot of people have this idea like, oh, Michelle Obama, she'll win easily, and I'm like, nah. I think she'll be a better contender than Biden. She'd probably poll slightly higher and has a good chance of beating Trump. But Democrats are racist, and I'm not saying it to be cute. That Yale study about how white people talk down to black people, there's going to be a lot of white older Democrats who are going to be like, well, I mean, I'm all for diversity, but and they'll make an excuse for it.
Well, Biden himself, right? I mean, I believe in my heart that black kids are just as smart as what was the line he said?
He said,
poor kids are just as smart as white kids.
No, what he said, black kids are as smart as... No, he said poor kids. What does he say? What's the quote? Let's pull the quote
Something
up.
about getting on the internet too.
Rich kids are just as smart as black kids or something
Poor
like that.
kids are just as bright as white kids.
Yeah, there you go. So they have, you're right, they do have an entrenched racism in their party. And they're going to have a huge problem with Kamala Harris, who is obsessed with race and gender issues. That's all she talks
Here's
about.
the fascinating thing. Republicans don't get this because they're overwhelmingly not racist. So when they hear Michelle Obama, they go, uh-oh, she's charismatic and she can give Trump a run for his money. I'm like, guys, calm down. Democrats are racist. They're like, they don't see the world the way you do. Republicans are looking at Michelle Obama as a charismatic celebrity personality who can win. But I assure you, a bunch of these young Berkeley Democrats are going to be like, oh, that's so nice, but she won't know where the DMV is.
Yeah, exactly. And again, go back to Kamala Harris running for the primary in 2019 before COVID changed the world, right? When it was summer of 2019. She was at the Iowa State Fair, and then she would be asked, are we going to have to regulate cheeseburgers because of climate change? And she'd laugh. And she'd say, we should have a conversation on that, right? Whenever Kamala Harris doesn't want to answer a question, she says, we should have a conversation on that. Her polling numbers were so bad that she had to drop out before the California primary because she was going to get destroyed. She had literally no delegates after months of campaigning. Why do they think that she suddenly has national appeal? Yes, she is the sitting vice president. I'll acknowledge it. But this idea that suddenly if she becomes the top of the ticket, Democrats are going to rally around Kamala Harris. They didn't rally around her last time. Eric Yang and Pete Buttigieg did better than Kamala Harris, right? So, I mean, if they really want to save the ticket...
Andrew Yang. Andrew Yang, is that who you meant?
Who's Eric Yang?
I don't know. I know
Andrew Yang.
Andrew Yang.
Andrew Yang.
If they really want to save the ticket, I got to tell you, they should put Bernie Sanders there.
They should.
I think one of the issues is that if there's a power vacuum, yes, we on the outside all know Kamala Harris's name, and she seems hypothetically like the heir apparent because she's vice president, but internally, there has to be, like you're mentioning, Pete Buttigieg or any other top-ranking Democrat that's like, no, I should be president.
Yeah.
You know, any governor that has, you know, enough delegates to really have influence at the DNC, which is not that far away, must be thinking to themselves, I have to say I'm with Biden, but if Biden's not there, I should get a shot at this.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be Kamala. I work hard and I deserve this, and et cetera, et cetera. I mean, why would they go along with some sort of vague overarching plan from the DNC, so to speak, when really this is an opportunity for anyone to step in and say, I'm the leadership now?
The super delegates, because they have no chance in getting the nominee unless they're selected.
But there's only like 75 of them.
Super delegates?
Yeah.
It's a small group that's going to select the next candidate. So no matter how ambitious someone is, it's only Obama was like the last
but
ambitious
the thing is, there
Democrat.
aren't that. There, like, I agree with you. Maybe there are some superdelegates that could influence it, but the governors themselves come with delegates. So if you're from a state that has a lot of delegates, I mean, you could theoretically have an influence enough to maybe sway a superdelegate or enough of them to support you. I mean, that's the thing about having an open DNC right now, which is like you get to really expose the influence that the DNC have over its members, and I actually think it's not as strict and structured as we think it is. I think that there would be a lot more infighting, and in some ways, I think it would be a more interesting convention, probably than even the RNC, because you would get to see all of these people vie for as much influence as they can rally in basically 6 weeks.
Yeah. It's just funny that the number one criteria in selecting your vice president is that this person should be able to fill in for me in case I can no longer do the job. The one criteria Kamala Harris has to meet, she has not met. Right? They selected her because of myriad reasons, but they did not select her because she could step in as president, and that's the problem they're having now. And how many news stories have there been about the enormous resignations at her staff?
Oh, I
Like
don't know. Have there been?
Yeah.
She can't keep staff to save her life because she's, rumor has it, a horrible person to be around and to work with. Her chiefs of staffs have resigned. Her comms teams have resigned. Who wants to? And you mentioned people like Pete Buttigieg or Gina Raimondo or all these cabinet secretaries. They're not going to take orders from Kamala Harris. They probably dislike her. So I just think it's funny in this world of diversity and equity and inclusion and all of that. The only criteria that mattered for VP is the one that she does not meet. She checks all the other boxes, right? But she is not capable of doing the job. Proof of that is the fact that they want to get rid of Biden and they don't know who to give the job to.
And that they
Whoever
made her
they
the
is again.
border czar. Like the second they made her the border czar, I was like, okay, so you hate this person.
Yeah.
You guys don't want her to thrive. And at the time, I thought of it as Biden viewing Harris as maybe a potential threat, right? They want her to have something very difficult should she, you know, at the time he was sort of pretending like he was going to be a one-term president. And when they made her the border czar, I felt like it was giving her something difficult to have to explain when she inevitably runs for president, right? Because, you know, the border is a very partisan issue, and she is bad at it, so she could never win. She could never win Republicans. And also, if you do anything to try to control illegal immigration, especially more extreme members of your own party will be like, "You're a terrible racist. How could you do this?"
And this is that's what Biden did also to. I'm sorry, that's what Obama did to Biden. He didn't want to deal with Biden. He was like, go cure cancer, right? That
Go
was
away.
That was what they did. I'm going to put Joe Biden in charge of solving the cancer problem. Because even Obama was like, I don't want to deal with this moron. So they gave Kamala a job like that. You go take care of the border. Let us do our job.
Right. You go take care of the border, which is impossible for you to do for a number of reasons. We're not going to give you any support. Also, if you make any restrictions, you'll isolate your own base. Also, if you don't deal with it, crime will get out of control and you're at the fault of, you know, you are culpable for a lot of issues we have in America. Also, now leave again. Go talk about abortion.
Yeah.
Get out of here. Like,
yeah, talk about anything. It's just
they have her around, but they don't want her there.
No, and she talks about anything, and she just is nails on the chalkboard.
I know.
You know, she's so distracting, like Tim trying to kill flies.
Him slaughtering it. He's chasing this one down right now. Oh, nice. Did you get it? He's about to get it, though.
This is the new Olympic sport.
You got to keep in mind, we're about to select our military commander. So, like, Kamala's obviously not the person for it. Who would be capable of commanding the military?
Whoa! And it's gigantic too.
Are we being invaded?
Got it. You had. Oh, damn.
Maybe it's not.
That one didn't die
We're-
either. That was creepy.
We're adding a new
stunned.
level to IRL. Like, not only do we have to respond to topical news things, but we also have to avoid getting hit by flies and/or an electrified fly swatter.
Maybe it's not organic. Maybe it's a little drone. You know,
We're literally being bugged.
like the people who don't
Oh.
believe in birds. Have you
Super
seen all that?
capacitor.
You hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it
Oh, I
break?
don't care for that at all.
No, it's a taser.
The people who don't believe in
Tasing
birds.
flies up
We
in
need a
here.
passive
Happy
slaughter.
July
Here it is.
4th,
Here it is. Here it
everybody.
is. It's coming around.
Okay, so I don't see anything irregular.
Happy July 4th, everyone.
Okay, so in the time files, everything is pretty much, you know, flat lines for the most part. So that's good news, I guess. Doesn't mean that nothing happened though, okay? So this is Republican House, Dem Senate. Okay, this is Republican Senate. I'm just looking at the cumulative percentage of the winner. It's, you know, pretty much a flat line over time. Now what I want to see is what happens with some of these, you know, weirder races, because these aren't the ones that Beatles asked me to look at. Okay. So the first one he has flagged. Okay. Let's take a look. School board trustee District G. Okay. Perry Rosenstein is the winner. So the first thing I look at is the time series. The time series gives me an idea if there's crazy shit going on right off the rip. That doesn't mean that there's nothing going on if it's a flat line. Okay, but it gives me, it's the first thing that I want to look at. Okay. All right, this is columns 40 to 46. Okay. Now Rosenstein is column 45. Okay, so I'm going to bring that out here for a second. What the fuck, man? Okay, I'm going to bring this over here. Oh, I don't know why it's doing this to me. I just want column F. Thank you. Let's put these to 0. If era this plus this, then this, okay. And there's no ends in this? Okay, good. That's a little weird. What? Oh, it's column 44. Alright, hold on. I mean, it looks flat to me. It doesn't mean that there isn't anything wrong. It's just, at least it's not like Colorado. But that does look pretty stable. So, what's the next one? County Commissioner District 4. Winner is Adriola Clara. Clara and okay. Columns 19 to 23. Okay, 19 to 23. The winner is, that's column 19. Looks okay to me. So I don't see anything irregular in time. Let's see if there was a close race. So, like, these are all like virtual landslides, you know what I mean? I don't think you can do much there. School Board Trustee District A is relatively close. District E is close. But I think Reno City Council Ward 1 is probably the most interesting thing we want to look at. There's a lot of candidates there, but the winner was, I guess, Reese. Devin Reese. Oh. Yeah, we'll take a look at that one. Is there anything that's closer? Let's look at Reno City Council Ward 1. So I'm going to delete these. I don't think there was anything interesting in them. Alright, so this is columns 47 to 54. 47 to 54. Now, is this vote for one only? It is, okay. $47 to 54. What's another one? Ward 5. That's definitely more interesting. Why would orange keep growing? Like the others are relatively flat, but they're all being drained into orange over time. See how these ones at the bottom are just really, really flat? The way you would expect in a fair election, like the other pictures were? Now, like, the change in percentage for this candidate over time isn't really that much. Well, you could argue he goes from 35 to 28. But, like, I really wouldn't make anything about this. But this one here is it to the same scale? Let's get it to the same scale at least. That way we're looking at the same, sort of like the same thing, you know what I mean? Like the behavior of orange is what I find very strange. So like green is sort of okay, these are okay, but it looks like that this person is just getting more ballots than they should be getting. So I want to know who orange is. Candidate 2, column 56. That would be Cassidy Bryan. Brian Cassidy is who I'm concerned about. Alright guys, I'm gonna go to bed. We do have this loaded up for tomorrow. We can actually do like real analysis tomorrow. I just wanted to get a bird's eye view. This is definitely the one that I want to focus on. Okay. This is Reno City Council Ward 5. Okay. Ward 5. So I'm going to go to bed.